Today we're going to talk about our tool storage and Overland tool storage on the Blue Ridge Bonfire podcast. This is actually be a first in a three-part series and kind of organizing your truck slash your rig. We'll talk about some other categories in future episodes, and hang around because at the end we're going to tell you, our loyal listeners slash viewers, how you can win a Blue Ridge Overland Gear swag pack from the podcast today. So
Isn't that exciting?
yeah. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell strangers on the street about this podcast and how it's improved your life.
Tell your dog. Dogs are good at listening.
They,
Don't tell your cat.
if you can teach your dog to listen to the podcast on its own independent device,
Yeah.
record that and send it to us because I want to see it.
Yeah. 'Cause I want to see it.
Yeah.
And we'll probably post that video.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Dogs, like most people, don't understand conversational English, so you have to be careful with commands. So, hey, so
Like most people.
tool storage, Overland tool storage. We're going to talk about kind of like how we do it and what we carry. I kind of had some notes for mine and kind of like thinking on my toolkit. I really use the tool pouch roll. I'm a tool pouch roll fan. Tool bag's cool and all. I don't know. I like the aesthetics of the roll. I think it's timeless.
So I've actually gone back and forth. I've run a tool bag for as long as they've been made.
He can say that because he made the first.
I made
one.
the first one, yeah. So as long as they've been made, I've been running a tool bag, and I just recently kitted a tool pouch roll.
Yeah.
Mostly because I think I'm going to go to 2 or 3
Oh,
total
subcategorized
at the end of the day. So I've got a second one that I'm working on slowly, but I haven't really gotten there yet. I haven't figured out where I want everything and how I'm going to label it, but
yeah.
I've run into a few times where I've been like, oh,
That's what I need to do. I think back to Jonathan Hansen did a really cool class. I think he wrote an article about it later, about like his truck toolkit and like literally everything in it. I'm not exaggerating, as I'm prone to do, was for something on that truck, either a bolt or a screw or whatever that was on that truck or that accessory. Because currently my tool pouch roll that is in my truck tools are truck tools plus / farm tools. You know, if it's something I think I'm going to need, you know,
Right.
and again, it's not like we have a huge amount of property, but I'm lazy enough that I want the wrench that's going to turn the thing on the tractor at the truck and not at the house. And then I have like other tools in the house that are maybe more specialized things, stuff like that. But mine is not just like fixing things on the ZR2 toolkit. It's got to have a little bit of flexibility. You know, I got full sets of Allen keys because it never fails that it's like some weird size or, you know, for some.
yeah. So I'm the same way, and that's why I've kind of branched out into 2 or 3 because I end up having. I mean, I've got 3/4 stuff,
Yeah.
3/4 drive stuff in my stuff. I've got 1/2 inch and 1/4 and 3/8. I mean, it's just stuff most people, I mean, I carry probably up to 2 inch sockets a lot of times.
Yeah.
Or I have the need for 2 inch, up to 2 inch sockets
Yeah.
or 1.5 inch, a lot, which is not typically a 1/2 inch drive. So I'm with you on that. Like, and that's part of why I've branched out into setting up kind of multiple things. So I've got something that's like heavier stuff. And then I keep hydraulic line wrenches.
Yeah.
Because it seems it's never fails. I blow a hydraulic line or
Yeah.
something like that on a loader or again, piece of equipment sort of around the farm. So mine is probably a little over kitted by most, but I will say like vehicles, when I've done vehicle specific stuff, it is very, very specific. Like, I'll keep a 32 inch or a 32 millimeter 32 millimeter wrench for I think that's what it is, for the back of like a Jeep Cherokee, which is what takes off the yoke. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
32. Yeah.
I think it's big.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick aside to say that really tells you how many times that Matt's taken the rear yoke off of a
I've taken
XJ.
I have grenaded a lot of yokes.
Because you haven't owned one in 10 years, probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
Not since I've known you.
And I've probably changed 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to just keep them packed.
Just the mental impression that made.
I just used to keep them packed with U-joints in them and taped together, and because that was the fuse in that truck. So when you got too stupid, it grenaded a rear yoke.
Yeah.
So it would just
you break out your 32 millimeter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Anyway, so I would kit stuff very specific if that was the vehicle, and but at this point in my life, that's not the way it works. So I think again, you go through different seasons of life and a lot of that stuff changes up. And, now, like I said, I'm to the point where I'm looking at 2 to 3
Yeah.
to kind of keep enough stuff together that.
So I've considered kind of attacking this from the other angle because now I've got way too much just random crap in my tool pouch roll. I've thought about taking like our tool sling
Yep.
and making that the tractor bag and just like wrapping the strap around a bar or something on it. It has a little toolbox, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know Van Neistat, YouTuber guy?
Oh yeah.
He's huge. He's got a lot of good stuff. But I was actually just watching a video that he had on tool, like how he organizes and how he thinks about organization.
Yeah.
And he basically one of his rules, like he has rules, and one of his rules is make a kit for everything. Do not migrate tools.
Yeah. I started to say that's his thing. I've seen that in other videos where like the camera studio screwdriver is the camera studio screwdriver.
But it is cool. What I liked about his system is like, if you get that specific, some of those kits are small, so you throw 4 of them in a bag. So like, as far as like you're saying in the truck, it's like, well, the idea is still you have a car kit and a tractor kit, but the tractor kit just lives and you'll leave it there. But
the downfall is there's so much stuff that overlaps when you start heading down that path, and or you don't have, or at least in my scenario, you've got so much stuff.
Yeah.
Because
you would need 3 tractor kits, like
exactly, because I have 4 or 5, I don't even know, between tractors and loaders and brush hogs and that all take sort of different size stuff, and some are metric and some are standard, and some it suddenly becomes just a there's an amount of chaos there that exists in my life that I'm trying to tame right now, because I just have them everywhere. But I do think kit lists, like I have kit lists for everything.
Yeah.
Like I have broken down lists for everything in the world, from first aid, like what I want in my first aid bag, what I want in my tool bag, from sockets to wrenches to screwdrivers, and what should be in there. And if it's not in there, then I'm like, what in the world happened? Or I need to resupply because I lost a screwdriver someplace.
And I will say, again, Jonathan's piece on like it was an FJ40 toolkit, I think. I worry a little bit if that's possible, even like modern vehicles, though, because, his thing was like he didn't have this is, hypothetical. He didn't have a 10 millimeter because there's no 10 millimeter, anything on that truck. I just don't know, because let's be honest, the FJ40 versus like my truck, and then we have my tractor. My tractor is probably more, I don't know, complicated than that FJ40.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like
100%, it's more complicated.
Yeah, and then the truck is infinitely more complicated than the tractor. So
right.
For modern vehicles, that's a little harder, but just that ethos of like,
Yeah, thinking like that. I think that's good for most travel. Like I said, and the other thing is like thinking about how you're going to lock that stuff down so it doesn't become a projectile. Because I think that's another issue that most people don't think about. That at least in my head becomes concerning. Having you flop one and you spew crap all over the vehicle and eject the dog to the front window or whatever. Like all of a sudden, like, oh, you're thinking about this changes slightly.
That's something
if you're ever in an accident.
That terrifies me about those rear shelves that have got very popular with SUVs, like Cruisers and 4Runners.
Yeah.
Like people just throw a ton of stuff, and it's like not even like flopping one, but like a hard ledge or hard braking, and all that stuff's coming off, and in momentum, it's going to go the direction it was traveling.
Yeah.
My tool pouch roll would take somebody's head off if it hit them in the back of the head. So.
Right. No, and that's the same thing. Like I literally one time, like in Uari in a Jeep, a dog was sitting on the back of a toolbox, drawers in the back of the Jeep. That's where she rode. And I dropped her off a ledge and just like a lawn dart, just banged her into the ground. And the next thing I know, I'm like literally catching the dog as it comes between the two seats before it hits the dash. I just caught her out of the corner of my eye and broke that. And I was like, oh, holy crap, I need to be rethinking how my dog travels.
Yeah.
How my little dog travels safely, what I can do there to keep her from, having something happen. And then you don't think about what that stuff is in an accident, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the nice thing is about at least my truck is I've got enough under seat storage that I can have, I can have a lot down in there. And then the other thing is like, what do you do with like, in my scenario, like what do you do in, how many of us carry some kind of impact wrench, some kind of driver, some kind of impact driver of whatever, I carry a 1/2 inch DeWalt, whatever will shear big bolts,
Yeah.
If you let it get angry enough.
Yeah.
With me most of the time, because I don't actually want to have to like wrench on something, because
Yeah.
people will be like, oh, how, does the breaker bar fit in this? I'm like, I wouldn't know, because I carry this yellow thing that just rips stuff off. That
This breaker bar does.
If this thing with the on button doesn't do it, like we got big problems. Like
my breaker bar operates off this.
Yeah, no, I mean if that doesn't work, it's gonna have to become liquid. I mean, like we're gonna have to go to the hot wrench
Which, guys, he's not kidding. Matt, one of the first times I spent like a weekend up here with you, we put a new bumper on my Tacoma, and there was one of the last bolts we needed to take off was really dead set on staying. So we lit the frame essentially of my Tacoma on fire.
Again, now it's not like it was gonna burn it down. I mean, we did take probably some old anti-rust and some paint off with flames at that point. But yeah.
But hey, the bolt came out.
You're right. Yeah, no, all right. When they're liquid, they don't stay, man.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
They drip out just fine. You just got to put enough heat to them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's true of the overlap. Going back to your thing, that was something on bikes of when I was doing a lot more riding, especially on the road, of I found the bike tool that worked for my bike. And man, there was times when somebody like, oh, I need to adjust this. Can I borrow your tool? Dude, you better hope it ain't the one weird hex size that that I don't have, because I literally shopped for I need a chain brake, I need these hexes. It had a very small Phillips for your limiters on your derailleurs, and one other thing.
So my my rifle kits are like that, where it's very 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 specific to what little shoots and that sort of thing.
Because I knew guys that carried a whole hex key folding thing.
Yeah, carry all kinds of stuff.
And it's dude, your bike has 3 sizes on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Why do you have 9?
Right. That's a little bit the way her kit is. She has little torque. I can't remember the name of that. Oh, Fix-It sticks.
Oh,
have
you
ever seen those?
Yeah.
Those things are great for small parts. Fix-It sticks are just really a slick little.
And again, you dial in what you need, and
and it's in a tiny little pouch, and it's got everything in the world in it, from, like I said, from torque limiter stuff to you kind of name it. And that's a pretty handy piece that I've actually added to that lives in the truck.
Yeah,
and Laurel has her own that she takes with her, but
other thing
we'll travel
here
with.
That's something we should add. People ask about links. I'm making a list of links in here. Fix-It sticks.
The other thing that I like about the everything has its own kit mentality is, from doing video, I know I have one multi-tool that I got that works for camera stuff well, and I there's a few things that I have one of, because they were a little more.
Yeah.
And I have a bag that's an AC bag, so when I'm a camera assistant, but then when I'm a camera operator, I just have a fanny pack. Yeah. And the amount of times that I've been on one job and I put my camera gear in that, and then the next time I grab my AC kit and go, and I was like, oh shit, I left the one thing that I need in the other kit. So it's knowing I've got one in each is
doubling down on it, doubling down on that stuff.
Yeah. No, I think that, and then it's kind of oh gosh, what did I hear the other day? It was going back to one of my. Oh, it was a Ron Swanson. We were talking about Parks and Rec. It was hey, I just want to remind everybody that if you have a problem, be sure to deal with it yourself, because we're all adults. and that's kind of my philosophy on some things. I used to joke in the younger days, this is the Marines. I'll leave a man behind every day of the week.
This is not the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Sorry, you're confused about the mottos. You're responsible for your own self, behavior, safety. And that kind of goes back to toolkit, because you get into that kind of being responsible for your rig. Don't go out and be like, oh, this random bolt in my roof rack needs tightened up. I don't have a wrench,
Yeah. Well, and I think too, the other thing is, when you're traveling, knowing who you're traveling with and what they have. Not that I didn't necessarily carry a lot of tools, but anytime we went any place with Jeremy, with the Resiskas.
Right.
Jeremy's got everything you need for
probably
everybody's truck.
It's nicer than mine. He knows how to use it better than I do.
Right. He checks a bunch of boxes.
I can't think of many times where I would be like, he probably doesn't know how to fix that on my vehicle. You know what I mean?
Right? No, ever. I mean, we may not be able to fix it, but he knows how.
He knows how. Because Jeremy was a Mercedes tech for
for a million years,
with the every level of specialty and whatever you can get.
Yeah.
Then he also has had something from pretty much every major
manufacturer /
platform.
Yeah.
in which you become self-educated at that level.
Yeah.
You know, so because now, I mean,
and he's just a car guy.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he just loves cars. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter the breed.
Right.
Doesn't matter the wrapper. He doesn't care.
That'd be like, you know, me and you out and having a camera problem. I mean, I can turn knobs and see if I stumble upon it, or I can just go, here you go, Logan.
Could you fix this for me?
Yeah. So, oh man, my chair's
makes this thing go.
Yeah. No. So we talked about like tool storage and kind of like, you know, what you carry. But Matt, you're talking about like subdividing, which we've got customers that have done that. You know, folks are like, oh, hey, well, I've made the gadget bag my electronics part, you know, like kind of like fix-it kit. My tool bag is all mechanical. And then we've talked about our different bags. And I was going to say kind of a breakdown. Feel free to correct me, but like the tool bag, as far as like, you know, it's hard to give like a quantitative measurement here, but that thing will hold like 250 plus.
Yeah, we've actually taken and packed like 270 piece kits in there. I mean, and when you do that, it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit loose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like you would have to search for parts and like had pouches left over. So like the amount of stuff you can store in those things is pretty you know, inconceivable, right? Like 4 to 5 pouches get you a lot of stuff. You know, get you a lot of general tools, and then like having I keep a pouch that's just electrical, you know, and it's got whatever 2 or 3 different ends and you know, and the tools to be able to do some, you know, whatever, just fix a trailer wiring.
So you have to go.
And that's kitted. That's very kitted specific, like tiny little screwdrivers, you know, stuff just to do wiring. And that's kitted pretty specific. The other nice thing, honestly, about the tool bag like that, and going back to like house tools, because obviously I have shop tools and then I have truck tools, and there's a chunk of overlap to that. The reality is, half the time, if I'm just fixing something around the house, I walk out to the truck because I know exactly where it's at.
Right, yeah.
I know exactly what it looks like. I know exactly which pouch it's in. So I can walk out to the truck and be like, oh, I need this one.
Yeah.
And walk in and fix the doorknob.
Yeah. Same. You know, 90% of the time, that's faster than going down to the basement or going down to the workshop and getting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I've got it at work with me. If I've got a problem here, it's walk out to the truck and, you know, grab something. And that's one nice thing about traveling with something that's, I don't want to say reasonably extensive, but not just for your vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, because you can do a lot of stuff that and maybe my shit breaks more than other people's. I don't know, but it seems like I'm always like, I always need something, you know, and usually it's something simple, screwdriver or something that this is loose or that's loose or that needs fixed, or the wheel squeaking or
well, I think
whatever.
that's a level that kind of we're getting into for that kind of thing. You know, you talked about a multi-tool. I've got one I keep in my Bum Bag XL, which is in my EDC pack. It's always with me. It's either in the truck, at the office, or at the house. But even some like tech screwdrivers. You know, I've got two different little screwdrivers. They're not even expensive. They have like really small T, you know, and star bits and things like that. And
those are the ones that have the little bits in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I keep one of those in my little EDC thing.
Yeah, those have come in handy.
My backpack all the time.
Because even like honestly, I don't think I've got anything in my tool pouch roll that's that small. You know?
Yeah. No, I don't either. But I do keep that in my little EDC pouch. The other thing I use probably way more often than maybe I should even, but my little Griffin pocket tool.
Yeah.
Which is not, you know, I don't know. It's just a simple little, simple little tool. That's another thing you should put a link in.
Yeah.
But a simple little tool that, like, I don't know. I use the screwdriver on that. I use the flat end on it. I occasionally will use it to drive, that end to drive like a Phillips head or something.
I was going to say that one, you look at it and you're like, there's no way. But there's been multiple times on like pocket knives or just random things where I've been like, oh. And again, I have a multi-tool in my bag, but like this is on my keys and you can tighten up a Phillips with that. I actually helped a buddy take a roof basket off one time. I don't remember he was installing something else. Didn't have a lot of time. He only had one wrench that was the right size, and the biggest little T-slot kind of wrench, universal wrench thing worked. So like while he used the wrench,
you were able to crank on the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that piece has been really handy. And the other thing is it saves my knife a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
Because like opening boxes and stuff like that, it's kind of got a little bit of edge to the one corner on mine. And so I'll use it for all kinds of things that I really don't want to dull a knife over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that they're really handy, and it also keeps my keys clipped in my pocket, secure. Like,
I don't ever use that functionality.
Oh, really?
I just the screwdriver piece. Mine isn't as fancy as that. Yours is newer and fancier.
yeah,
Mine's
this has
like,
actually got the gate.
oh
The
yeah,
the-
mine's very very first gen.
yeah.
Uh, first gen. But
Casey lasered that for me in his basement at like 11 o'clock at night when we were hanging out down one day.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, oh, I want to get one of the new Thai ones. What? He's like, you want anything on it? I was like, Topo. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So
For those of you that can't see, Rick is showing us his
Topo.
his
Yeah,
Topo.
there's a link. Go check it out. The Griffin Adventure tool. That's the one with the carabiner actual clip or spring gate on it.
Yeah.
And then he's got the mini, which Brandy uses on her keys,
Yeah.
and then the regulars this size. And then he has an XL, which is a pretty handy
like
self
bar. I don't even know what
defense weapon.
That's way bigger than what I want to carry in my pocket.
Casey, you'll have to let us know if can you even get the XL through TSA? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big monstrosity, and I have other tools to do its job. But the little one in my pocket, I literally don't even take it off my keyring, but I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Has anyone asked you about this going through TSA?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is at that level where someone might be like, "What is this?" At least.
No,
No,
I mean,
I don't
I
have any
firmly also.
And it's got a church key on it, so I always have a church key with me.
Oh yeah, I use the zebra strategy for TSA. I have so much crap wrapped up, bundled up, shoved into my bag. Like they just can't pick any one thing out.
That's it. That's
That's
great.
not true.
I was gonna say that's great until
Yeah.
you're. I went through a phase. We'll just say I had a big beard, and I got randomly selected every time, and they would definitely go through whatever they felt like they needed to go through.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever got pinged on was a Phoenix flashlight, the bigger right angle one, and it was actually through some webbing on the outside of my pack, and the dude was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's a flashlight."
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be like, press that button and see what happens, but that seemed a little facetious in the moment.
Right.
Yeah. That's the only thing I've ever got. We're getting away from tools. Maybe not. Tool storage, my Wazoo cash belt.
Right.
I take it off, stick it in my backpack, goes through TSA every single time. And I mean, it's literally a belt meant to hide things on you all the time. So, yeah. No, good tangent. It wouldn't be a bonfire podcast without one.
If we didn't leave it. But I mean, the big thing is, looking at how you use your tools, what you're doing with them, and then figuring out how to kit them, and then going back to specific kits. Kit lists I think are important.
Yeah.
Even if you don't always go back, just making notes on because I have notes where it's like, oh, I need to add this to the truck.
Yeah.
And just so I make sure when I go home, it's a note in my phone. Oh geez, okay, throw that in.
Yeah.
Here's a list of things I forgot. And I do that a lot just traveling or camping in general. I'll make notes that I'm like, oh, I really wish I would have had this, or I never use this, take it out.
Yeah. Not so much for tools for me, because I don't know. I guess it's outside of sockets, I've kind of got it dialed into what I need. I have all the sockets, because again, the truck kit is the home kit, etc. I think that goes back to for me, backpacking. Well, there's kind of 3 columns at the end of a trip, what are the things I used? What are the things I didn't use? And then subset. Well, there's definitely things I take on every trip I hope I don't use.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm not going to go without them. Even a day hike, I'm taking a first aid kit, and it may go, in that bag 100 times and never get pulled out until I get back home. But road flares,
How many road flares do you travel with?
There's probably 8 in the truck right now.
Are they minis or full size?
Full size.
Yeah.
There's a compartment in ZR2 underneath the back seat that's actually accessible.
That holds a case?
That holds them really well. So, yeah.
Holds a whole case of road flares.
And then if my winter kit, the mule bag winter kit, there's usually a couple more in a pouch with some hand warmers.
So I run into a little trouble even with all my tool storage when I go from summer to winter, because a wool blanket goes in.
Right. Yeah.
There's some stuff like that. And actually, there's probably a wool blanket in there right now, but there's some extra stuff that goes in through the winter that just lives in there.
Yeah, I leave the wool blanket.
Takes up some space.
The winter kit, I go a little bit more emergency, where it's extra hat, extra gloves.
Yep.
Yeah.
A poncho that's also a tarp that, if I need to get out and work on the truck, I can rig this up and have the area covered. A few more road flares, hot hands,
a few more road flares.
Yeah, a jet boil.
What are we up to now? 15?
No, that would be 10,
A few.
Yeah.
It sounds like 11 to me.
Yeah.
But let's go.
If I can't mark off a landing zone for a pretty decent chopper, it's not enough, okay? The tool storage. Yeah, let us know how you store your tools. Any other like tips and tricks. Something that I'm gonna do. Maybe we'll do a video on this. Is I really want to get the socket holders and snip them to fit our bag, and
We'll
move
buy
my
those for us.
sockets into the
Yeah, I cut them down
yeah.
to 12 inches, and then I just put I've got some drilled out that just have a 10 mil bolt in each end to keep everything from sliding off.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
And then I have an extra 10 mil bolt and nut,
Yeah, yeah.
just in case I need it, or a
Because
quarter or
there are
whatever.
some out there that will fit. There's some.
So yeah, I mean at Lowe's they have like 12 inch long socket strings.
Yeah, yeah. Socket strips. I was struggling
Yeah,
with the term. The
whatever they
thing that
call
your
'em.
sockets are held on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's something we may do a video on, like how to organize your sockets
yeah.
and go from there. Because mine do ride around in a hard case, which I try to avoid for most things because there's so much wasted space.
Yeah, no, mine are all on strings inside the
Yeah,
truck, inside the thing, and then I have some double sided and some single sided.
yeah,
Yeah, I've got the hard case situation for my
Yeah.
whole hard kit.
Yeah,
Not
just takes up way too much room. Anyway,
Uh,
so
hey.
how are we doing this? How are we doing this giveaway? We're doing a giveaway.
So in the description, if you're on YouTube, in the show notes, if you're on a podcast platform, there's going to be a link that says, enter to win the giveaway here. We're going to have you a Blue Ridge Overland Gear swag pack. So we're going to throw out some socks, some stickers, probably a, what's the repair patch?
oh
No
yeah,
So repair patch.
patches. Yeah, yeah.
And I think we're going to figure this out. This may be your first opportunity, dear dedicated listeners, to get a new technology. We're experimenting with making some in-house patches
Yep.
that are looking pretty cool, and I think this would be a cool way to like
To
get
kick that
one
off.
out there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, and that'll be coming like for our dedicated, the people that stay till the end.
yeah, yeah. The in crowd. I'll go back through
Yeah.
the comments. We got the list. We will give you guys one of these.
Yeah.
But we're still dialing it in. But this will be your chance to get the first one.
Yeah.
We're doing these in-house new technology. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're using the technology and new materials. That's
Yeah.
to do some in-house patches that are turning out pretty cool. So,
Yeah. So that should be fun.
yeah. All right. Yeah. So that link, as always, like, subscribe, review. Be sure to come back. I think next time, so in 2 weeks, we'll tackle kind of like first aid kits. And I think maybe we'll talk about that one in terms of just general first aid kits, like in your truck, while you travel, things like that. That came to mind while you were talking about flying, because I actually have a little tiny Leatherman multi-tool that has spring-loaded scissors on it in my first aid kit that I normally backpack with, or it's in my ADC bag. I always have to take that out when I fly. And then maybe even like home, which again, my first aid kit at home is on the back of the headrest of the truck.
Mine too.
Yeah, yeah. And then we're going to wrap this series up with like all the small things. There's a song that we could probably have a copyright infringement on. But like your visor, your console, things like that, how you organize that stuff, which tend to be the
Door pockets.
door pockets, tends to be the junk door, right? For most folks. So,
Yeah. Stuff you don't think about.
and we will have some, for our audio only listeners, we will have some visual components on separate videos on our YouTube channel for that.
So, well, thanks for stopping.
Catch you next time.